Hey people, you know when you lick a toad, you licking every toad that toad's ever been with. I was reading in The Birth of Samson, and I got sidetracked in that last movie. I had to touch on something. But yeah, this bufo, this is where your word bufo comes from, boofing. So it's talking about in the third chapter in the Garden of Eden and the serpent, and that's the word it uses, bopping or boofing. It's where bufotenine comes from, a DMT derivative. You can get it by licking a toad or some mushrooms, plants. You also get it out of this reed canary grass, or canary seed grass. You know, this species may be used for the bufotenin. And then you see they went out of the way to tell you about the other plants that are better source, which should have nothing to do with this article about this grass. And so that's a big tell. It's also the same drug that's found in this Jimson weed. And so that's what Francis Bacon was talking about. The ingredients of the witch's ointment is grossopedos, grows a foot. You know, it's in the grass. It's how they make the broom fly. So in that last movie I was talking about, and I was explaining some of this picture here, and I was showing a spot where I was reading about it, I think in Samuel, but it also talks about the bufo in Genesis 3, and I ran into something there I want to show you. I was telling you in this movie on the top of my home channel that I picked figs when I was a kid, and they made me itch worse than poison ivy, and the story just didn't make sense. You know, it says in the first chapter that he created man and woman. In the second chapter, you know, it says that, you know, Adam was not there to cultivate the ground. And then he planted the garden, you know. So he had to have man to come pull the plow. You know, then every tree that is pleasing to the sight came out of the ground for food. You know, then took the man and put him in the garden to tend and keep it. And then formed God out of the ground every beast of the field and every bird of the air. Brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. Then Adam named everything and called Adam the creature living that was its name. And so gave Adam names to all the livestock, birds, air, every beast of the field. But he didn't get to name the trees. You know, and then the rib gets hijacked, and they were then naked and not ashamed. And then the very next day, when Adams goes to work the field, she goes to flirt with the pharmacist. And his name is Winnakesaw. That's where the word snakes comes from right here, this N-A-C-H-S, the nakes. And so when aches, you know, you go see the serpent, the pharmacist. And when aches I orium, when aches I orium, make all high it is audi. To make all high it is audi. He was selling whatever kind of drugs, and he was making them all. Assure whose is you, halo him. You know, that's the same way if somebody that English isn't their native language, that's the way they'll tell you. Oh, I assure whose is you, the halo. I do it under good intentions. The halo is, I'm a saint, you know. And when the aches I orium, the make all high it is audi, high as you ought to be. And assure whose is you, the halo is. And I assure you I'm a saint and have good intentions. Who immoral, you know, why immoral, who immoral. And is as I says. It's hard to believe they get all that out of those letters. But the mark says to read this backwards. And then the dot and the S says two S's. And the mark underneath says read the mark underneath, is as. And then the AE turns into the ES, ash. And so it's is as is, and then as. And then the upper markings, you know, is an I and an S. And then the AE reads here as an ES. And so I says, and I assure you, and assure whose is you, the halo him, who immoral, is as I says. Affirm, AF. And then the key, same as in the Greek, the KAY turns into the VAV or U. And so this is AFU, and then backwards RM, affirm, as indeed as I said, affirm, affirmum, and then back the other way, affirmum roll of, and then there's dots above the E this time, so it's high. Affirmum roll of high hymn of Loto, L-O-T-O. That's where the word lottery comes from. It means to take the chance. The lotto, clive, to adhere, to stick, to climb, to ascend. And I believe that's where it's coming more from, is the ascend, where the clave comes from. And it's the key, the clavis. The clade is the branch, the tree is its clade, and the clive is its ascension. And a firmum roll of high him lotta clave, make all oxygen. The make all oxygen, they didn't have names, but they were all in the class of make all ox, O-X-E-G-A-N. M-A, dot there is A. It's not reading when the top marks, but it's still, make all from coal. Oxygen comes out of every tree of the garden. So Adam didn't name the trees. That was done by nakes. And you can see when it's in its shortest form, read backwards and forwards, commits on aches come to. So in aches high horium, the high horium, the make all high it is audi. Assure whose is you, the halo him who a moral is as I says, affirmum, roll of hyam lotoclave, make all oxygen. So they was creating the tree of life. And then down after the scolding and just before expulsion of paradise, Adam named his wife and called Adam the name of his wife Eve, because she was the mother of all life, all living. And I always tell why the name, to tell what the name means. And you can see here, the H-U-H-V, and here it's just the H-I. It doesn't have enough in common. And at this time, Adam had even known his wife. That wasn't to the next chapter. And so she wasn't the mother of all life. But in the Greek, it says that he named her Zoa, for she was the mother of all the zoanton, the living. And so that's where your word protozoa comes from. Proto is the first, and zoa is the living animals. And then after that come the metazoa, major division of the animal kingdom, animals other than protozoans and sponges. And so up here at 13, and said Yahweh God to the woman, and said Yahweh, via more, who a high you hail, O him. Lassie says, meta, zoa, Z, and the little dot above the A is the O-A, Z-O-A, the metazoa to sit. And the lassie says the metazoa to sit. So they're using the same word for life here, the zoa. And here, all shunning aches, key, W, what was 8, A-I-T, was 8 life, zoa. And it's talking about the 8, the toads and the serpents, the 8 ogdode. Was it zoa there where 8, T-H-A-R, thar, where 8. They done ate the life and then cursed. So this naming of the wife reads a little different. And it's Y, meaning who, and who fair, and this is F-R-A-E. And so the A-E becomes an E-S. So this is reading Y fair, F-R-E. Why fair and then Sodom, Sadm. Fair, is to carry, and it's talking about to carry, to pay the way, the fare. And who fares Sodom says, as it too. And who fares Sodom, who's carrying the Sodom, says as it too, and that's what was going on up there. The eating of the fruit wasn't quite eating it. And so this says as it, and two is T-O, and that's the O is the dot above. And then the W is reading here with the CH, which. And as it to which, and then we, W-E, and V, key is the Vav. And weave the Ves, the V-A-E is E-S, the V-E-S, the Vesite. And weave the Vesite. And so, vessel is a drum. And if you have two people with vessels, and one's got milk and one's empty, and one's pouring it to the other, you have a vessel, you have a vessor, and you have a vesite, and you have a vesti, and so it's telling you weave the vesite. And so a ite is, somebody who lives in that place. The vesite, what's in the vessel, is us. We, the vesite, am, conjugation of be, are, we are. To call, and then backwards and forwards, itchy, I-H-I, I-H-Y, itchy. And so maybe they did cover themselves with fig leaves, and so he called her Itchy. It's not her name, it's just something he dubbed her for putting on them fig leaves. But, if he was put there to tend and keep the garden, you don't have to know the names of it to know which one makes you itch. So all these words have to do with the trees, or to make all oxygen, the ox. And this not eat or touch it, this is to a call to, from the menu, a lot, to lot, the geo, the earth. From the manual, the manual, from the manuello, from the manual at, to go to Buffin. And so they're trying it all out and giving it a name. They're naming the plants. And so, this surely you will die isn't, it's the L-O and then the T again. The lot. A chance to. Oh, there's a chance to moot, to quiet time when. The lot. The chance to moot, the time it when. And, then will be open your eyes, is to call come from the menu when puff. When puff, puff is to fly, like a puff of smoke. When poof, and all of a sudden, poof, who calling come, who oying come, who calling come. The way it from call of high him, the yod oy, the hand call, oy is to call, the yod call, the hand call, to of, where see. When your eyes are open, you see the hand call, to of, where see. You see the hand signs. And the hand sign, to of, where see, is the tuber. The tuber is the root, the tuber see, the roots. And so the reason the trees are the OX is because they're interested in the toxins. And here's a bi, a bi-oxin. It's where your word box comes from. And in dioxy is the time, what's the fate? A dioxy, describing a compound formerly derived from another by replacement of a hydroxy group, deoxy. To wash it in deoxy's a time, what's it fate? A time, what's it fate? The acacia. In dioxy's time, what's fate? Of times have. But the moral of the story is the same thing. They keep saying that the vesite. You're not the jug. You're the vesite. You're what's in the jug. as it to which weave the vesite, where the filler of the jug, the vesite am, I am, be, the vesite am called itchy.
Don't forget, hooty hoot, I won't forget.
Alright, I'm gonna cut this off here. Good day.